There's been a lot of discussion here about funding today, and I'd like to address that.
You may.
I know as chairman of licensing occupations and an avid fan of horse racing, I get pinned as a gambler, and so we're going to talk about that. I'm just going to embrace that today. I'd like to start, I have two things I want to talk about. First of all, this week in a publication called Kentucky Today, which I believe is an arm of the Kentucky Baptist Convention, they ran an editorial, Stop Gambling on Kentucky's Future, and the first line is, Representative Adam Koenig must be betting that Kentuckians are stupid. Well, I didn't realize that the discord in our discussions here on policy had reached all the way to the Baptists. I feel like there's something about judge not lest ye be judged. I remember that reading that somewhere. But, I don't think my constituents are stupid. They support expanded gambling overwhelmingly, as do I. Now, maybe my stupidity is in question, I don't know, but I don't think Kentuckians are stupid. I think they're smart enough to make their own choices. And there was a tweet where some gentleman named Dr. Paul Chitwood retweeted it and said that this proposal was ludicrous. Well, that's fine. You get called a lot of names in this business, especially on social media, but there will be, in all my spare time, as we all have so much of right now, there will be a return editorial coming to the Kentucky Today. Let's see if they run it. This brings me to fantasy sports. Now, for those of you in the audience, those of you watching on television who don't know what that means, if you've seen advertisements for DraftKings and FanDuel or other type services, those are fantasy sports, which are engaged in by hundreds of thousands of people in this state and many millions across the country. And I've had a bill now for the second year to regulate and tax this activity that occurs in Kentucky and put in regulations to make sure that 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds and children even younger than that are not participating in this and making sure that it's being done on the up and up. It is a bill that did not pass the House last year, and I was hoping it was going to pass this year. But however, let's get back to last year. Last year, we got a vote on the House floor on this bill, and it failed. It received only 37 yes votes. Interestingly, even though this is a controversial subject, and Republicans are typically known as being of two minds on the issue, it received 35 yes votes from Republicans. 2 Democrats voted yes. My friend, the gentleman from Woodford, sitting in front of me, and my friend, the gentleman from Kenton 65, both voted yes. And there were 36 no votes, 18 Democrats, 18 Republicans, and a whole lot of others sitting on their hands. You can do the math as to who was doing the most sitting on their hands on that bill. I found it ironic, yesterday talking about revenue, today talking about revenue, that some of the things that were said, I find it ironic. And by the way, last year, when that bill failed, I got reports from others who said that there were my friends on the other side out in the hallway high-fiving and excited because they killed a Republican bill. Not because they disagreed with the policy necessarily, not that they were happy with what they did, but that was an opportunity to kill a Republican bill. High fives all around. My friend, the gentleman from Franklin, I wish he was here. So I because I was willing to say this in front of him, not when he wasn't here, but he just said on the floor, let's stop playing politics. Well, I'll tell you what's playing politics. When I get word, and the lobbyists who were working on this get word that it was decided last week in the Democrat caucus that once again, they would block a vote against this measure. It wouldn't raise a lot of money, but by God, it would raise some. Same people walking around here with the pins and the stickers. I love my school. Here's the vote list, those of you who get told, ask for fine funding first. I'm doing it. I broke a personal pledge of 12 years to my constituents saying, I won't vote for a tax increase until there are casinos in this state. I voted for a tax increase, House Bill 366, gentleman from McCracken, so that we could fund education. Half the Democrats approximately voted against it. And then I hear a simple little bill. It wouldn't raise a lot of money, but it would raise some. It's going to get block voted against again. So, coming back to the editorial, I had a bill filed, House Bill 433, that was a shell bill for a casino gaming bill that I have sitting on my desk. A gentleman from Jefferson filed a bill. I was happy to go to the press conference. Only Republican House members there, if I remember correctly. There was a Democratic senator. That's not moving. Had my bill, wanted to move it. Why on God's green earth would I call that bill up in my committee if we can't get a simple little fantasy sports bill from people who go out to the front when there's a bunch of teachers out there and pander to them and say, I'll find funding for you. So, that said, when I received word from the lobbyist who was working it, who works the Democratic side, Wednesday night, that said, Adam, I'm sorry, that bill's dead. After repeated conversations with the Democratic side, I was extremely disappointed. So those of you who are in the audience, those of you who watch on TV, who say find funding first and someone tells you they're for it, check the record. Check the vote list. Don't just take their word for it. Some of us are working on it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen.